there's this concept in the mental health field of the scapegoat. And the scapegoat is basically this person in the family who everyone else has sort of targeted as being the problem, the source of the problem, the reason why the family is the way that it is. And usually, what therapists and counselors and whatnot have discovered over the years, and, thousands of these instances, and tens of thousands, and probably even more than that, of these kinds of instances in, being studied in therapy, is that the scapegoat is the one who is the healthy one, the normal one. And they are pointing out all of the abnormal, aberrant, dysfunctional behavior of the other people in the family. And the other family members don't like being exposed. They don't like having the truth revealed about them, so they all sort of collude together to isolate and gaslight the scapegoat. And so, of course, the scapegoat, starts to act out even more. So, the scapegoat is the one who acts out against aberrant, abnormal behavior. And is often, gaslit, persecuted, manipulated, coerced for doing those kinds of things. And, there's this principle of, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's this concept that, everything is sort of reflected back to each other. And so, you kind of see this dynamic of, the scapegoat or the person who is, pointing out certain behaviors is often the one who is criticized and judged and put down and all that kind of stuff. And you see that in like a one-on-one relationship, and then you see it reflected in the family, and then you see it reflected in like, smaller environments like work and school, and then you see it reflected in, broader society. This is just something that we just do as human beings. It's like a natural defense mechanism, right? It's sort of society's protective mechanism for itself, to isolate and coerce and gaslight the truth speaker, the one who's, going against society, going against the group, whatever the group is, right? It can be just a small social clique, whatever. And you see it. I mean, I see it all the time. I've dealt with it my whole life, and it's, it's something I had to sort of figure out and overcome and work out myself, all the kind of gaslighting that I've been exposed to my whole life. And then it's gotten easier to just, see all the manipulation that goes on. And I see it all the time, on here, anytime I sort of speak up or say something, and, I'm immediately, I'm labeled as being difficult, or, you're a spurg, or you're a, whatever it is, people don't like being exposed, right? And it's, it's often, the people who are going around, doing all this, quote unquote exposing of other people, which is just a way of like deflecting away from their own situation. So they go on the attack, right? A lot of people kind of, when things are being exposed about them, they'll go on the attack to try to deflect and distract from themselves. So you see that a lot on YouTube too. And so, it's just a thing that a lot of people do. And so, but anyway, I see this all the time. People are constantly trying to coerce and manipulate other people. People do it to me all the time. I mean, I've been sort of, I've isolated myself to a large degree, but I've also been isolated, because people don't want to hear what I have to say, because I speak truth. I speak honest opinions. I will go, hey, the emperor has no clothes. Not always, but in a lot of situations. And of course, the reaction to a lot of that kind of stuff is, shut up. And, it's that engage in that kind of manipulative, coercive behavior to try to silence people like myself. It's a thing. It's a fact. I mean, of course, people are going to come back and, try to manipulate me for that kind of stuff. And you see it, with all the kind of intimidation tactics that go on with all these people. They just don't want to hear you speak up and, point out their own bullshit. Especially, in female-driven, female-dominated groups, this kind of manipulative, coercive behavior is prevalent. It's prevalent in male-dominated groups too, but it's like very obvious and apparent. And, all you have to do is observe a lot of these live streams with women, and it's a lot of the same kind of stuff. They just all sort of band together and, isolate and attack and persecute somebody that they don't like, somebody who's saying things that they don't like. And, in a lot of cases, sure. I mean, yeah, the person they might be talking about is a Fruit Loop in some way or another, but they also might be speaking some truth. And so, anyway, it's just what women in society, they just kind of do. They try to manipulate and coerce people into shutting the fuck up, basically, to not say the kinds of things that they don't want to hear, whatever those things are, and it might be bullshit. It might not be, in those cases. In a lot of cases, it's, somebody's just speaking their mind, speaking their truth. And so, people come along and try to manipulate and coerce them into shutting the fuck up. And so it's obvious. I mean, it happened recently with me with that To the Moon chick. With that situation, I asked for my $500 back. That was all I did. Can I have my $500? I was a little snarky about it, but whatever. I was no more snarky than her and anybody else. But of course, she couldn't address the subject, and she'd made it about everything else. Making public posts. You're harassing me, and if you don't stop harassing me, I'm gonna take. It was just such ridiculous, obvious manipulation, right? She made it about everything other than the actual issue, right? Just personal character attacks, all that kind of shit, right? That's a really good example of the kind of stuff that people do to just shut you the fuck up, right? Like somebody the other day said this, well, I'm going to tell Rally, I'm going to go tell Rally to make a video marathon about you. It's like, okay, that's manipulative intimidation tactics, right? I'm going to go real life on you if you don't shut up. I mean, it's ridiculous, manipulative, coercive kind of behavior. So it's obvious. I think people just need to be, number one, more aware of it. Number two, just start calling it out, because I'm going to call that shit out. It's dumb. It's stupid. I'm not going to shut up. You don't like what I have to say? Don't listen. And here we are, still people years later going out of their way. I mean, it's so easy to ignore people on the internet. And so many people are going out of their way to pay attention to what I have to say because they don't like it. That's a weird thing to do. It's a weird thing to follow somebody around that you don't like just so that you can not like them. It's weird. It says something about you, not me. That's a you problem. And there's several of you doing this kind of shit. And you know who you are. So I'm not going to shut up. I'll say whatever the fuck I want to say. And I don't care. I mean, thumbs me down. I get 5, 6, 7, thumbs down and no likes. I mean, I'm Eli now. Okay. Care? I don't care. That's just a dumb, simplistic intimidation tactic. We're going to thumb you down. We don't like you. I'm going to make a video about you. Okay. I'll make a video about you. I'm not going to shut up just because you don't like what I have to say. I'm not going to be intimidated, coerced, manipulated into fucking silence.